and Orton leaps up into the air and crashes to the mat. You see, he was working out a reflex and was trying to strike out of nowhere, which would have been totally fine if the stupid motherfucker wasn't staring straight at AJ while he was clearly not jumping in the air. Then to add insult to injury, AJ Styles hits the springboard 450 splash he never hits. Ricochet unnecessarily did a shooting star press to break up a pin. You can't just kick him.
It is funny when you're supposed to have a sense of urgency. Your big idea is do a flip.
Punish Miz's father for spawning his greatest mistake. And his greatest mistake is when Mama Miz got knocked up. The New Day cry after the match because Kofi became the first WWE champion with pigtails.
One of the most memorable moments.
After beating the shit out of Roman, McIntyre is the one to issue the WrestleMania challenge, somehow. I beat your ass, so now I need to challenge you to a match as well. 5 knuckles shuffle, then the FU, and see you later, Elias. Commentary let us know that Cena was only there to check off the year's WrestleMania box.
No match at WrestleMania, but there you go.
That's the first time we've seen that used in this rivalry. Were they teasing using the toolbox? Were they building up to this big toolbox moment? Like, what the fuck are you talking about,
Michael? This was the demon character, so there's that. Because otherwise, you'd be like, how?
Right.
But yeah, it's the demon character, so it balances out there.
This week is WrestleMania 35. We are in East Rutherford, New Jersey at the MetLife Stadium. And some 4-time Grammy Award winner I've never heard of needed 100 people to help her sing America the Beautiful. And then we had a WrestleMania hype video. They quoted Shakespeare, said the world's a stage and they are the players. Because remember, folks, wrestling is fake. Then a subsequent video played, and if you told me this was the old Raw or SmackDown intro, I would have believed you, because this was generic as fuck. Like, when did WrestleMania just turn into a TV show? And more importantly, we have no idea what stories we're going into, who's facing who, and it's like the showcase of the Immortals my ass. This is just another pay-per-view now. Just for shits and giggles, I watched the beginning of WrestleMania 1. It was very primitive. They had this generic music, a slideshow of who's facing who and all the matches. But it was way more fucking informative than what I just witnessed here.
Fair enough.
Then Alexa Bliss is the host. Dear God. Said she just has to snap her fingers. She'll have her very own WrestleMania moment. So she snapped her fingers. Out comes the Hulkster, who calls the MetLife Stadium the Silverdome. Get it?
Call back to the last time. And I think he was cheered here, so.
Yeah, he was cheered. I think this might be his first appearance after his incident, too.
Yeah, this is 2019, so.
Safe to bring Hogan back. Then Hogan says everyone tonight is looking to create their own WrestleMania moment, just like he and Alexa are doing. And then they pose. Sure was nice to see someone talented come out to carry Alexa's dead weight. And then Paul Heyman comes out, walks right past them and to the ring. And Heyman says, wrong, 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 wrong. If my client isn't last, then we're not waiting. We're getting our business done and heading to Vegas in a jet, where my client is appreciated. So right here, right now, we get Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. It's for the Universal Championship. Lesnar comes out all business as usual, and Rollins comes out dressed in men's clothing for a change. He's also calling himself the Beast Slayer. Yeah. So Brock attacks Rollins before he gets to the ring, gives him an F5 on the floor. Of course, it's just one little F5 on the floor, and Rollins immediately starts getting to his fucking feet. Brock tosses Rollins around ringside before throwing him into the ring so the match can officially start. But the ref wants to check on Rollins, so he doesn't ring the bell. So then Brock just picks Rollins up and tosses him back out of the ring, throws Rollins around ringside some more, then throws him through the hood of the announce desk while it's propped up against the ring. And then Brock throws Rollins back into the ring, and finally the bell rings. Brock takes Rollins to Suplex City, goes for another F5. Rollins escapes, nails Brock in the balls, hits 3 consecutive curb stomps, 1, 2, 3. And once again, Brock only sold the low blow.
That's his biggest adversary, is that low blow.
This bugged me a lot, just for the simple fact that Roman can't even hang with Lesnar, right?
Right.
But a significantly smaller Rollins can win.
Well, he did get the low blow, but yeah.
So I think Roman has too. Roman speared him a shit ton of times.
Yeah, I see your point, but this match didn't really do anything for me, if I'm being honest. It was nice to have the Lesnar entrance and stuff, but it didn't really do too much for me.
Well, after that, we had AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Jerry the King Lawler is called out for guest commentary for some reason. pretty lackluster entrances. Also, the first time we see the stupid 3D CGI wrestler logo that they have floating above. So they start off tussling for a bit. Orton goes for an RKO early. It's blocked. Then they fight to the floor. Styles hits a diving crossbody from the ring. Orton does his belly to back suplex on the heavily padded guardrail. Then they get back to the ring again. Randy takes control, but Styles fires back, does that weird chop shit he does. Styles hits Orton with a Hushi Guroshi, fucks his knee up, which is pretty ironic since that'll be a legitimate injury a few years from now. And Styles goes for the Styles Clash. It's blocked. Then Orton goes for the RKO, and that's blocked. So Orton hits a power slam. And Styles kicks Orton's leg a couple times, so now Orton's knee's fucked up too. And Styles gets Orton in the calf crusher after a draping DDT attempt. So now Styles is just working on Orton's knee. And Orton happens to back body drop AJ out of the ring, but AJ lands on the apron. So Orton's back is turned. And then AJ looks like he's going to do the phenomenal forearm, but he kind of stops. And Orton leaps up into the air and crashes to the mat. You see, he was working on him reflex and was trying to strike out of nowhere like he usually does, which would have been totally fine if the stupid motherfucker wasn't staring straight at AJ while he was clearly not jumping in the air. Then to add insult to injury, AJ Styles hits the springboard 450 splash he never hits. Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm again, actually jumps this time. Orton ducks out of the way and hits his backbreaker. Then he hits a superplex, and then he European uppercuts AJ onto the apron, hits the draping DDT. He coils up to do the RKO, but Styles counters with an enziguri and tries to win with a schoolboy. Then Orton catches Styles with the RKO, but Styles kicks out. Earlier, commentary said that it would only take one RKO to beat Styles, which means that they're dirty, rotten fucking liars. Then Orton goes to the top rope to do an RKO again. Styles manages to escape, of course. Then he hits Orton with a Pele kick. So Orton goes ass over tea kettle outside the ring from the top rope. Then Styles hits Orton with a phenomenal forearm outside the ring, rolls Orton back into the ring, and he goes for another phenomenal forearm. But Orton just took a phenomenal forearm. No big deal. He recovers to catch Styles for an RKO attempt. But Styles catches Orton and guillotines Orton on the ropes. Then hits the phenomenal forearm 1, 2, 3. I thought this was a damn good match.
Obviously a lot better than the previous match. It was a classical type match because, Randy Orton and AJ Styles are in the game a long time. The King was on commentary. He was giving his funny little one-liners at one point. And he was pointing out that Randy Orton's dad didn't help him at all. In fact, hated Randy Orton. And he said, one time Randy Orton told his dad he was going to run away. And his dad replied, "Will you put it in writing?" Which was kind of funny because Randy Orton, when he started in WWE, he was pretty big on having his dad's help.
Yeah. But is this after King's heart attack?
I don't know. Probably.
Well, after that, Lacey Evans comes out, and then she just leaves. No idea what the fuck that was about.
I don't know. But yeah, she was just posing for a little bit and then leaves.
And she's never mentioned again.
Yeah. No one comes out. She doesn't say anything. She just poses for a little bit.
And then leaves. Very odd. Then we get a fatal four-way tag match. It's the Usos, The Bar, Aleister Black and Ricochet, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura. It's all for the SmackDown tag titles. And once again, the champions come out first, which were the Usos. And after about 3 years of tagging together, The Bar are really on point with their entrance. I like their little Da Vinci pose. And the artist formerly known as Shinsuke Nakamura comes out all by his lonesome, which is a far cry from last year. I wonder how long it took for Vince to just say, "Oh, okay."
I think it was right after his feud with AJ Styles.
Okay.
Because, he was the artist formerly known as Shinsuke. And, they changed his music because the fans were singing along to the music, so they had to change it, he said, so that they couldn't sing along. That's what Shinsuke said, but that's what actually Vince said. "I don't want him singing along to you. You're done. I can't have you getting the crowd reaction, so I'm going to change the music."
Well, Shinsuke's tag partner is the natural fit of Rusev. They try to explain that they're partners over mutual frustration, but I'm not buying it because it's a dumb fucking pairing.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet comes out. He's alone too. He has a cape with wings on it and looks like a total fucking dweeb. How is anybody a fan of this guy?
Well, this was the best version of Ricochet. Well,
and it's terrible. He looks like a fucking goober.
Well, this was a man that could do everything, the
Okay.
superhero or whatever.
So Ricochet's partner is the natural pairing, of course, Aleister Black, who has an awesome entrance and theme. And the only explanation we get for this dumb fuck team is they worked their way up in WWE at the same time. So they're blood brothers.
Well, as I remember, the reason they were tag team, it's probably not any better. So every year down in NXT, they have this Dusty Classic. It's just a tag team tournament, ending with the winners getting a tag team title match. They have teams, and then they always have like just two singles who team up, join together for the tournament. Aleister Black and Ricochet was that team this time, and they ended up winning the tournament. And then they got called up to the main roster. So they had their title match that they were owed for winning the Dusty Classic. And then they had a Raw tag title match and a SmackDown tag title match here at WrestleMania. So effectively, they had 3 title matches in a week. Because Stand and Deliver, it was a Saturday because WrestleMania was on Sundays. So they had the tag title match the night before. And then on Raw, they had the tag title match. Lost both, by the way. And now they're in this one.
Good for them, I
what
guess.
happens there?
So this match is done as a traditional tag match, only there's 4 teams, and anyone can tag anyone, which means we get nothing but blind tags every time someone goes near the ropes. So that was fun. Sheamus did a stupid apron move to everybody, while Cesaro did a giant swing to Ricochet the whole time.
I like that spot, actually.
Of course. Then Cesaro locks in a picture-perfect sharpshooter. Ricochet unnecessarily did a shooting star press to break up a pin, which was about as retarded as Morrison flipping to get into the ring to get his ass kicked by Big Show that won WrestleMania. They're so unnecessary. You can't just kick them.
I don't know. But it is funny when you're supposed to have a sense of urgency because the ref is about to count. You're
doing this extra flip.
Your big idea is do a flip. Instead of just running the beeline to break up the count.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip there.
So dumb. Speaking of dumb, we got a Tower of Power spot that Ricochet somehow flipped through. He was on top of it and whatever. I hate him.
By the way, probably out of context for the retro review, but him and Samantha Irvin just got married, so congratulations to them.
Cool. I'll give it about 5 years. Then everybody takes turns doing their shit in the middle of the ring. The Usos end up winning with a double splash. And yeah, can't wait to forget about this, which I am going to do now.
I enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, it was a spot fest. Yeah, it was chaos, but I don't know. I just ended up enjoying it. And the backstory on the Usos in this match was that this was a tie-in to Kofi Mania because the New Day, they had to go through a gauntlet match. The Usos were out first. And they were like, you know what? We fought years and years. We respect you. We respect Kofi. We're just going to bow out. So they forfeited. And then whoever the general manager was like, as a punishment for not holding Kofi Kingston down, you got to defend the titles at WrestleMania in the 4-way match. So yeah.
That's gripping shit.
It is.
Well, after that, we get the 2019 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The inductees are Harlem Heat. The next inductee is Honky Tonk Man. Then we get the OG Hart Foundation, which is only Brett and Neidhart. Fuck you, Pillman, Owen, and Bulldog. Then we get all of DX. Again, fuck you, Pillman, Owen, and Bulldog. And then DX recognized China for woke points. And then for some reason, we get Brutus the Barber Beefcake inducted. Tori Wilson checked this year's Girl Box, and it looks like another rich white lady won the Warrior Cancer Trophy. And she was actually a WWE executive. The first rich white lady was an NBC journalist. So there's a pattern here.
I didn't even notice who won the Warrior Award. I don't think I pay attention to those because I don't know the people.
It's either some person in the worst stage of their life or some rich white lady is what I've noticed.
Yeah, because last time it was that guy who... Was he dead by the time the award... I really want to laugh right now, so let's just...
No, the last one was the little kid that dabbed.
Oh.
And the one before that, I think it was the football player that was crippled. And then before that, I think it was the football player. I think he's still alive. I think Connor's the only one that's not with us anymore.
Well, there you go. I was going to say, it almost just seems if you get the Warrior Award, you're not... Like, please, I don't want it. It's like the kiss of death or the death note.
Yeah, Eric LeGrand's still around. He's commonly known as Wheelchair Eric today.
Good for him.
So yeah, then after all, it's worth noting that I think after this year, all of the future Warrior Cancer Trophy Award winners are WWE employees.
All right.
So that'll be fun to keep track of.
Yeah, no more Make-A-Wish kids.
Nope, fuck those.
Yeah.
They're disgusting. They make me feel sad. So then all the inductees stood on the stage as is tradition. And honestly, if I were Beefcake, I would have held my head in shame. Then DX came out throwing glow sticks.
Yep.
So we have our first match that gets a hype video. So it's Miz TV on one SmackDown, and Miz offered to form the greatest tag team ever with Shane McMahon, and Shane accepted. They run wild over the SmackDown tag division and eventually win the tag titles. Then Miz lost the tag titles, and Shane didn't like that, so he beat Miz's ass and applied one of his patented MMA holds after pinching Miz's dad's face. Shane says he's the best in the world because he was born that way, and he's going to start doing things for him. Then he tells Miz that they have a WrestleMania match now because Shane's the boss. He's going to punish Miz's father for spawning his greatest Miz steak. And his greatest Miz steak is when Mama Miz got knocked up.
Oh.
The Miz gets a turn, says it's personal. Shane wasn't born the best in the world. He was born a McMahon, which makes him the worst. He says, you may own the company, but you don't own me. I used to fight for my dad's approval, but after what Shane did, I now fight for his honor. Miz says the beating he gives Shane can't be contained in a ring, so they must meet in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Which brings us to Shane McMahon versus The Miz in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Who would have thought? Shane comes out, he cuts his music to make the guy in the ring announce his name again for no reason. Then Shane makes the guy do it a third time. Apparently he wasn't happy about not getting the Cena treatment or something. Like the long drawn out Shane McMahon.
No, the emphasis was on the best in the world part. You see, one of the Saudi shows, I don't know which one it was, but one of the Saudi shows, they had a tournament, and the tournament was to crown the best wrestler in the world. And Shane McMahon obviously won it. He was a face at this point, and this was slowly a heel turn because obviously people were kind of upset that he won the best wrestler in the world tournament. Thought it was kind of a letdown.
Shane McMahon's an MMA legend.
He is. And so during SmackDown, it just got gradually more over, I guess, where he would make the announcer redo the best in the world.
Okay.
And as he was heel, he'd be like, do it good or you're fired. So that's why he has to hold it a long time, because that's what Shane wants.
Gotcha. All right.
And when you're best in the world, you can do that.
So this is a personal feud. Miz cost his tag team the titles. Then Shane turned on Miz and assaulted his father. And it's a Falls Count Anywhere match against the most powerful guy in the company, at least in storyline. But none of those factors stop Miz from doing a normal entrance and pirouetting and waving his arms like he's in a performative dance. Then he puts his mean face on, and it's okay. So the guy that went toe-to-toe with The Undertaker and did the "come on" to him just starts the match off by running away from the fucking Miz. Shane grabs Miz's dad. Miz starts to chase Shane around the ring, and then Shane jumps over the barricade into the crowd. Miz goes to jump over the barricade in pursuit, and then Shane just immediately turns around and clocks Miz. Rope-a-dope, motherfucker. Shane throws Miz in the ring, just decimates him with the greatest pure striking abilities that WWE's ever seen. And he tosses Miz out of the ring again, clocks him with a monitor, a real one, not one of them wussy iPads they have now. Then he lays Miz out on the announce desk, goes for the top rope, and Miz's dad just gets in the way. Ugh. Then Miz's dad takes his jacket off like he's ready to rumble. Ugh. So Shane invites this fucker to the ring. He tells the ref to get him out of the ring after showing him how to do a fighting stance. And then as everybody's distracted, that's when Shane attacked Miz's father. So I thought was funny.
Yeah, gotta love the cheap shot. Get him out of here. And then as he's distracted,
yeah,
Shane, who could already beat him up without the distraction.
So Miz recovers and attacks Shane. He throws him out of the ring and starts tossing him into shit. He stops to tend to his daddy all of a sudden, then goes back to whipping Shane's ass. So they fight in the crowd and fight around some equipment where it's part of the set. And Miz tries to hit a skull-crushing finale on the stage thing, and Shane blocks it and hits a DDT. But then Miz kicks Shane off the stage thing, and Shane goes flying into a real guardrail. And somehow Shane's knee gets fucked up at this point. And then Miz beats the shit out of Shane, starts targeting the injury. Also uses a chair. Like, he wraps his leg around the guardrail and then whacks it with the chair. Brutal looking. And they fight up the stairs and the stands until they get to the international commentary booths, which there's a shit ton of commentary. Miz grabs Shane by the throat and just slams him through one of the announce desks. And Miz nails Shane with a little monitor. And Shane goes flying over the guardrail down to like the area where you walk out to get food and take a piss. And then Miz beats Shane's ass up a series of platforms and some scaffolding. He delivers a skull-crushing finale on one of the platforms. He goes for the cover, but Shane's the best in the world, and that's not enough to defeat the boss. And like a dumbass, Shane just starts climbing the scaffolding to escape Miz. Of course, Miz follows. Shane realizes he's fucked, gets on his knees, and starts pleading for his life. Miz doesn't buy it. He snatches Shane, delivers a suplex off the scaffolding and onto an obvious crash mat, which they didn't even try to make it look like something else. And somehow Shane ends up on top of Miz and gets the 1-2-3. Sure. And after the match, officials came to pull Shane off the crash pad, which they made sure not to show during the replay. And I'd like to think that they only took Shane to get medical treatment and just left Miz laying to figure it out on his own.
They were attending to both.
I said I'd like to think.
Fair enough. You see, when you perform a suplex, you got the one hand over. So when they landed, that didn't put that hand, I don't know.
It was a bullshit finish. But eventually the guy that kicks out of the last rides and tombstones has to win a match, right?
Yeah. Not to mention, he is the best in the world. So says so because he won a tournament filled with other wrestlers that he beat. Don't breeze over that. And I am kind of surprised that, The Miz had such a competitive match with Shane McMahon, seeing as he did take The Undertaker to the limit.
I'm just kind of surprised that you can't have The Miz be serious now.
Yeah. This was like when The Miz started actually wrestling.
No.
Because the big thing on him was he can't wrestle. So then he actually started wrestling to prove that he can wrestle.
I'm sure that was entertaining.
Yeah, seeing him doing tilt-a-whirl arm drags and shit. I don't know. It's The Miz, so.
Yeah. Well, after that, there was a girls' match for the girl tag titles. It looks like some generic-looking team called the Iconics won. Paige was guest commentator for some reason.
Yes, the Iconics won.
We get a Kofi Kingston Daniel Bryan hype video. Kofi says he always wanted to be a WWE superstar. Then they cut to various stages of success during his career. And Kofi eventually gets a title opportunity after pinning Daniel Bryan during a 6-man tag match at Fastlane. And everybody's happy about it. Then it cuts to Daniel Bryan, says Kofi gets nothing. Says he's nothing more than a B-plus player. What a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
And Kofi's forced to win a 5-man gauntlet match per Vince McMahon's orders, which he did. Then Vince comes out and says, "You'll get your title opportunity if you can beat this one last opponent." And it turns out to be Daniel Bryan. And Kofi doesn't even come close to succeeding. So the New Day says the fans want to see Kofi in the title match. Vince says, okay. If Big E and Woods win another gauntlet match, Kofi gets his title shot. So, of course, Big E and Woods win their gauntlet match, and Kofi tells Bryan he's taking his title.
Yeah, New Day won the gauntlet match to put Kofi in the title match. This was one of the better versions of Daniel Bryan. He was the Planet's champion. He had that little belt title, which is one of the cooler looking titles. I don't know. Something about it. If I ever get a belt collection, that's going to be one of the belts I add. But yeah, I remember that gauntlet match. Kofi, he sold it good. I'm so gassed. He'd barely get past 4 and 5. And then Vince McMahon comes out. You got one more person. And then out comes Daniel Bryan, fresh as a daisy. And they treated him like a big deal. Like he's actually the champion. And then, Kofi got no offense and lost him.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of when Trish Stratus was put in that match with Christian. It wasn't even a contest.
That was another cheap shot. He cheap shotted Trish when he didn't need to.
Nope.
You gotta love a cheap shot, especially when they're not necessary. But yeah, this is one of the better WrestleMania builds. Recent history and probably all history.
Well, it leads us to Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan. It's for the WWE Championship. We get more pedestrian entrances. And the roster was watching backstage the whole match, which I found to be annoying because they kept cutting to them. And then they start off with a little back and forth. Bryan got knocked out of the ring. Kofi hits him with a flying body attack. So they get back in the ring. Bryan locks in a surfboard. Kofi escaped, hits a boom drop after some back and forth. And Bryan gets sent out of the ring again. And Kofi goes for a dive, but no one's home. And he crashes into the announce desk midsection first. So they get back in the ring again. Bryan's just kicking Kofi's ass. Kofi tries to fire back up with a flying stomp, but Bryan just catches him and locks in a Boston Crab. And Bryan tries to hit Kofi with a top rope German suplex, and Kofi fought out, nailed Bryan with a splash. Bryan was on his hands and knees, so he got hit back first. So they trade punches again. Kofi goes for a Trouble in Paradise. Bryan catches him and goes for another Boston Crab. Kofi fought out of that and goes for a small package, then tried to SOS, but it's blocked. So he does a crossbody from the top rope. And Bryan, he rolls through, I guess, and turns it into a label lock. But Kofi fought out and kicks Bryan in the face. Kofi does this charge thing, and Bryan kicks Kofi in the face in return. And Bryan goes for the running knee. Kofi counters with a pin attempt. Then he hits the SOS. But fuck that, says Bryan, and immediately just transitions into a label lock. Like it didn't even happen. And Kofi just crawled to the ropes with no suspense. Bryan starts doing the yes kicks. Kofi just gets up and says, come on. Then they trade kicks. Bryan goes for a super kick. Kofi catches him with a reverse suplex. And Bryan rolls to the floor. Kofi gives chase, but Rowan's big ass just stops Kofi from getting to Bryan. Then Woods and Big E go after Rowan, and they're both dispatched without Rowan so much as breaking a sweat. So Kofi, of course, hits Rowan with a Trouble in Paradise, and Big E and Woods team up to deliver a big ending to Rowan on the floor. So back to the match, Kofi goes for a Trouble in Paradise to Bryan. Bryan ducks that and hits Kofi with a running knee clean. Of course, Kofi kicks out. While Kofi is still lying on the mat, Bryan grabs his arms and just starts stomping him repeatedly in the face, then locks in another label lock. They tease Kofi passing out by doing the arm thing. Kofi didn't even make it past the one arm drop, despite just getting repeatedly stomped in the fucking face. And Kofi fights out of the label lock, starts stomping Bryan's face, and then hits a stupid Trouble in Paradise 1, 2, 3. And then the New Day cry after the match because Kofi became the first WWE champion with pigtails.
One of the most memorable moments in WrestleMania history. So not only was the build special, as history would reveal, it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali in that Elimination Chamber match, but he got taken out because he got injured, which put Kofi in the match. And then that led to this whole Kofi Mania thing. So it should have been Mustafa Ali.
So we have him to blame for the darkest day in WWE Championship history.
It's not the spinner title?
No, I would say the guy that comes out of Fruit Loop boxes and has unicorn. Last year they were fucking wearing unicorn horns and rainbows and shit. Fuck them. They're cartoon characters.
They sure are.
This is the equivalent of Santino winning.
Oh,
yeah.
Different.
They're jokes. They're comedy acts.
Okay.
It's not like this is Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin or Shad Gaspard. Or, you know, it's fucking Kofi Kingston.
This was more of a story-driven win. The whole Kofi Mania.
Like Big E, I would buy.
He's gonna get his moment, maybe.
Well, then they recap the stupid pre-show. Strowman won the special battle royal that's dedicated to Andre the Giant. Then Alexa Bliss talked to two homos from SNL. Legends, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash appear in the background dressed as doctors, and they want to give the SNL homos a prostate exam. So it's like 2 WrestleManias. We haven't had legend segments, and we get a prostate exam joke. Good job.
Well, allegedly, they're going to like it.
Oh, yeah, they were all about it. And then we get Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Samoa Joe for the U.S. title. Booker T comes out for guest commentary. Then they run down about 100 different foreign announced teams. And then it starts off with Joe kicking Rey in the face. And he follows up with repeated headbutts. And he tries to slam Rey, but Rey turns it into a DDT. He hits a Frankensteiner on Joe, sets up for the 619. He hits the 619. He goes up top to do something, but Joe immediately gets to his feet after the 619, so he catches Rey and chokes his little ass out with a coquina clutch. Joe's fucking great. But I've noticed a trend where people get hit with finishers and just immediately start getting to their fucking feet. And it's annoying.
Yeah, he did basically counter it. It was shocking and it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, he had a short run, but he's pretty much built like a monster for the short time he was there.
He's really fucking good, especially his promo. Well, I remember when he came to NXT, he immediately started feuding with Kevin Owens, and they had this big pull apart brawl. And then later on in the show, one of the holes was talking about it, and they were about to interview Joe, and then you can just hear off camera, "Let them fight! Let them fight! Let them fight!" Oh man, just the rage and intensity. That's when I'm like, oh shit, Joe's serious.
Yeah.
Well, then they show a movie trailer. It's for some stupid movie that Batista's in that no one remembers.
It was a good one watcher, or not good. If you've got nothing else to do and it comes on TV, it's good to like watch it once. It's one of those type
The
things.
fact that you've watched it is just pathetic.
Oh, I told you earlier I'm a Batista guy, so when I support, I support. Just not financially all the time, because it's financially. But I'll give you time. That's a commodity I can give.
We got a Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre hype video. Roman's back from his battle with cancer, and McIntyre's the Scottish psychopath. And one night, McIntyre ambushed Roman, and he claymored him against the LED ring post. After beating the shit out of Roman, McIntyre is the one to issue the WrestleMania challenge, somehow. So, I beat your ass, so now I need to challenge you to a match as well. So McIntyre tells Roman that he's going to destroy him, and hasn't Roman's family been through enough watching Daddy fight for his life? Well, Roman comes out and beats the shit out of McIntyre. Don't you ever put my family's name in your mouth. But McIntyre ends up hitting Roman square in the testicles before leveling him with another claymore. And that sets up Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. And McIntyre gets drummers for his entrance, and Roman gets a shit ton of pyro. And Roman and McIntyre start off by just throwing haymakers. Then Roman hits a Samoan drop. It looks like Roman tries to end it early with a spear, but McIntyre catches him and does a spinebuster flip thing that he does. They fight on the apron. Roman steals Undertaker's leg drop. Then McIntyre catches Roman with a Glasgow kiss when they get back in the ring. And McIntyre hits Roman with a belly-to-belly suplex. Gets him in an arm wrench for a really long time. Then Roman fights out of that. McIntyre ends up getting knocked out of the ring. Roman goes for the drive-by, but nobody's home. Then McIntyre just picks Roman up from the apron and suplexes him on the floor. And then they get back to the ring again and fight in the corner. McIntyre hits Roman with a reverse Alabama slam. And he just starts losing his patience because he hasn't beaten Roman yet. So he just starts wailing on him. And he snatches Roman up and sits him on the top rope. And it looks like he's about to do a Frankenstein. Has McIntyre ever done a top rope Frankensteiner?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, it looked like he was about to do one. But anyway, Roman fought McIntyre off. Then McIntyre showed off his core strength by sitting up and just tossing Roman off the top rope. And he grabs Roman and screams in his face that he's nothing to him. And he goes for a future shock. Roman blocks the future shock and just starts throwing hands. And McIntyre grabs Roman and slaps him across the face. Well, this pisses Roman off. And he knocks McIntyre out of the ring, does the drive-by, then a Samoan drop on the floor. They get back in the ring. Roman goes for a Superman punch, but McIntyre blocks it with a Glasgow kiss. But then Roman hits the fucking Superman punch like nothing happened. It hits one singular spear, 1, 2, 3. And Roman smiled like Finn Balor after the match.
Yeah, the ending did kind of come out of nowhere. But you got your one finisher, so there's that.
Yeah, just Drew McIntyre looks like a complete pussy now.
Because he's the one guy who didn't kick out of it.
He's the one guy. There's two people in this entire pay-per-view that got beat by one finisher. McIntyre was one of them. And it's a two-factor thing. One, when you have everybody fucking kick out of finishers, it loses the specialness of when they kick out of a fucking finisher. Because now you know, when they hit the one finisher, you know that's not the end of the match. So there's no, like, suspense. There's no feeling you get when they kick out. Like, oh, shit. Because everybody fucking does it. And then, when somebody doesn't do it, it's not a surprise. They just look like a bitch. Because they lost to one fucking finishing maneuver. While everybody else is just kicking out of multiples. Hell, Seth Rollins got F5'd by the champion on the ring floor and immediately got to his feet. But Drew McIntyre gets one spear and he's done.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Well, then Lana and Rusev were in a fucking Snickers commercial. Lana lost her accent since the last time we saw her. I thought it was Lashley's cock that knocked the accent out of her, but that was after this. So.
No, she just dropped it.
This is one Raw she had an accent and the next Raw she didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of something like that. I think she like went away or I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, it just kind of went away.
Well, then Elias appears on the Titantron, and he plays the drums. Then another Elias appears, and he plays the piano. And then the real Elias appears in the ring. He's playing guitar. And then he plays a song while the two fake Eliases play their instruments, and he's playing the guitar. So it's like a little Elias band. He asks the crowd to walk with him. The crowd starts chanting the Seven Nation Army song. Then Elias starts playing it. And then he stops and says, if you like those two guys, you should see the guy in the triangle and the harpsichord. And Elias says it would be the best performance in WrestleMania history. And WWE stands for Walk with Elias. He says he wrote a special song for WrestleMania that's near and dear to his heart. It's going to be a WrestleMania anthem for years to come. And he only asks that the crowd silence their cell phone, hold their applause, and shut their mouths. And then Elias starts to play. And then a video of Babe Ruth highlights start to play for no reason. And then John Cena comes out as the Doctor of Thugonomics. Old theme and everything. And Cena gets to the ring, and he says, the Doctor of Thugonomics is back. And Elias has got the worst deal, because he's standing in the ring as John Cena is about to turn heel. Silence your phone, hold your applause, shut your mouths, and no string plucks. Feels like I'm watching one of my movies, because this whole damn thing sucks. He points to the WWE logo. This means walk with Elias? Nah, I'm not feeling it. Because without the guitar, what it really means is wasted wrestling experiment. I'm a bad man. My style like a pit bull bit you. You ain't even half a dog. You're just a little piece of shih tzu. And then a picture of a dog with Elias's face is photoshopped on it, and it appears on the Titantron. And Cena continues, I'd ask him to do a duet, but you just put it on the shelf. Because everybody here just saw, you only like playing with yourself. And they call me the golden shovel. And I'm about to bury me a push. And Cena holds up a bag of pistachios. Because your face looks like my nuts, except you got a hairier bush. Now, Elias has had enough of that, and he starts taking his shit off. Oh, looks like I wore out my welcome, and it's time that I left you. So there'll be no AA for today, but you about to get that FU. And then Cena stabs Elias with the mic, hits the 5-knuckle shuffle, then the FU, and see you later, Elias. Commentary let us know that Cena was only there to check off the year's WrestleMania box.
No match at WrestleMania, but there you go. Poor Elias.
That's 2 years in a row.
I thought about it. I was like, didn't they do something last year too? Yeah, they did. Before he got squashed by The Undertaker.
So we get a Triple H Batista hype video. This is Ric Flair's 70th birthday. Triple H, Sting, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Ricky Steamboat, and Stephanie are all there to celebrate and be happy. Well, Triple H calls Flair out to join them, but Flair never appears. Batista appears on the Titantron. He drags Ric Flair out of the dressing room. Triple H goes after Batista in the back, but Batista ghosted. And we find out that Batista resents that Triple H gets as much credit for his career as he does. Batista said Triple H only groomed him to be the muscle and make him look good. He says Triple H is a jealous control freak. Well, Triple H says Batista believes Evolution did nothing for his career. Yet when Batista left Evolution, he was world champion. And he also believes Triple H prevented him from having a meaningful career. But he only quit when he couldn't beat John Cena. Then they show Batista throw a fit in a wheelchair, and it was hilarious. He was just sitting there, head jiggling. Oh, I quit. Triple H tells Batista to fuck off. He's not getting what he wants just because he's a big movie star. Batista says Triple H is going to give him what he wants, or he's going to continue hurting the people he loves, and that he wants to end Triple H's career as well. Well, Triple H agrees to put his career on the line. It says if he can't beat a deluded douchebag like Batista, he doesn't deserve to wrestle. And Batista drops a little fact that Triple H has never beaten him. So Batista versus Triple H, and no holds barred. And if Triple H loses, he must retire from wrestling forever. Shawn Michaels came out for guest commentary. And Batista, his entrance, he's flanked by about 15 fake security guards. He was bigger than all of them. He also tripped getting in the ring. And he also had a nose ring.
Yep, all those things happened. I was looking, I didn't recognize any of the security guards.
I just know Batista was bigger than every single one of them. The shittiest security ever. It's like Batista hired a whole bunch of short guys to make him look bigger, not to protect him. So Triple H tried to do a Mad Max theme. The video they played looked like an N64 Mario Kart gameplay. And Triple H stole a car from the Munsters. He also had that stupid skull mask thing. that he wore last year. So it starts off with they just start throwing hands, and it almost immediately spills outside the ring. Triple H nails Batista with the toolbox. Dumb fuck Michael Cole says, "That's the first time we've seen that used in this rivalry." Okay. Like, were they teasing using the toolbox? Were they building up to this big toolbox moment? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Michael?
Yeah, I was trying to remember, but I couldn't.
That's the first time we've seen this used in this rivalry. He just says shit. Greatest commentator, my ass.
I'm sure it was a reference to something. I just couldn't.
Referenced him being a moron. Then Triple H grabs a chain from ringside and starts torturing Batista with it. He wraps the chain around his face, not necessarily his neck, but he basically chokes his face with it. And Triple H uses channel locks to smash and stomp on Batista's fingers. They get back to the ring, and Triple H uses a chair. And he sits on the chair with Batista under it and proceeds to pull that fruity nose ring out of Batista's face, which was good. Then they go outside the ring again. Triple H attacks Batista with a chain wrapped around his fist, but Batista catches him and just repeatedly slams him onto the announce desks. They go back into the ring and go back and forth. Triple H goes for the pedigree. Batista counters it. They go ringside again. Batista nails Triple H with the steel steps. And then he places the steps on the Spanish announce desk. He throws Triple H on top of the steps and looks like he's going to go for a Batista bomb. But Triple H counters it with a back body drop, and Batista crashes into the real announce desk. So both men get to their feet on their respective announce desks. Triple H gives Batista a crotch chop and spears him through a third announce desk. I guess that was the German announce desk. Which, again, Christ, they have a lot of fucking commentary teams. They got like 100 in the back. They got 5 or 6 ringside. How many languages does this shit need to be in?
Oh.
All you need to know is American. So Batista crawls back to the ring. Triple H stays ringside and he finds a sledgehammer, but he doesn't like it. So he goes into ringside and gets another one. And Batista spears Triple H as soon as he gets back into the ring with the hammer. They tease using the sledgehammer on each other. Then Batista hits Triple H with a spine buster. Then a Batista bomb, but Triple H isn't Drew McIntyre, so he kicked out at 2. And then Batista brings the base of the steel steps into the ring, goes to superplex Triple H onto them. Triple H fights out, power bombs Batista on the steel steps, and hits the pedigree. But Batista isn't Drew McIntyre either, and he kicked out. So Triple H tries to use the sledgehammer again, but he got DDT'd on the steps. And then Ric Flair comes out of nowhere. He hands Triple H the sledgehammer he didn't want in the first place. Then he goes to talk shit to Batista, who still has the first sledgehammer. Then Triple H runs from the other side of the ring, springboards off the steel steps, nails Batista with the hammer as he's turning around. Then he hits the pedigree, 1, 2, 3. Which this was a good match until Flair showed up. I get why Flair showed up, but he just appeared out of nowhere and like, where the fuck were you, Flair? Were you under the ring?
It was never discussed where he actually...
Exactly. Like, where the fuck did he come from? He's 70. It's not like he propelled from the rafters.
Yeah, it was really never discussed. Like, on the replay, they didn't show where he came from. I guess that's just a little plot hole that we don't need to know.
But yeah, Triple H gets to continue to wrestle, which is ironic because this is his last match. I wonder if the finish would be different if he knew it was going to be his last match.
Probably.
Well, then Alexa Bliss appeared again, and she's with the B team. They shilled some merchandise and danced. Then Farouk appeared just to say damn.
Well, you see, they were shilling merchandise for Daniel Bryan retaining his title because they thought it was a shoo-in that he was going to retain the title.
Okay.
So the B team was dancing around with it, and then, yeah. So I don't know if he was damning them dancing or if he was damning the fact that the shirt was made.
He was damning the whole thing. Just everything.
Yeah, like the championship, when the NFL teams, they go to the championship and they print the newspaper for each side, and then the one that loses, they
do hats and shirts too. Like third world nations get the losing Super Bowl winner shirts.
Yeah, so you know you can find it floating out there. Super Bowl champions. Well, they actually never won it.
Well, up next, Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. And this is Kurt Angle's retirement match. And JBL came out for guest commentary. And Corbin came out, and I absolutely hate his ring gear. He looks like he's going to the fucking prom.
Yeah, this was dress pants and
That can't be comfortable.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't.
So it starts off hot, then Corbin just beats Angle's ass. Angle catches Corbin with rolling German suplexes. He goes for the Angle slam, but gets kicked right in the face. Corbin hits Angle with the deep six. Angle catches Corbin with the Angle slam, but Corbin's no Drew McIntyre and he kicked out. And Angle drops the straps, applies the ankle lock. Corbin fights out, sends Angle into the turnbuckles, then starts mocking John Cena for no reason. And Angle does the rolling German suplexes again, goes for a moonsault. Corbin rolls out of the way at the last second, hits End of Days 1, 2, 3. A singular End of Days 1, 2, 3. And no one gave a shit, especially Vince. Then they tried to fucking crowd reaction shots again. Like, okay.
Stop trying to shock us.
Right.
That's number one. So the reference to John Cena was because we knew it was Kurt Angle's last match. So who better to have Kurt Angle's last match than John Cena, who John Cena had his first match against Kurt Angle.
Right.
So it's like a role reversal. So that's why the thing for John Cena, he was trolling the fans.
I see.
Ironically, though, I don't know if ironically it's the right word there, but the End of Days was actually one of the more protected finishers.
It's a good finisher.
Yeah, for a long time it had a, as they say, 100% success rate, as in no one kicked out of it for a very, very long time, like years. I think I can only remember it happening once, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, it was very protected.
Well, after the match, Angle tells the fans, tell him he sucks one more time, and then he leaves. And yeah, this was a pussy fart of a send-off for Kurt fucking Angle.
Yeah. By the way, so you left people upset that he didn't win this farewell match. And then, yeah, he gets on the mic right afterwards for almost no selling the fact that he just took the End of Days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it didn't help Baron Corbin at all.
Oh, no, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, as he's not even with the company anymore.
He wasn't even like a transition champion.
Yeah. And I was thinking, they gave that guy so much. Just like Austin Theory. They gave him so much. They gave him the King of the Ring. They gave him the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. I think he won, he won Money in the Bank. All the gimmicks. Like they
it
tried
was always
so
a
hard.
joke, though.
Yeah, but they tried so hard to get him over with the crowd.
Not if you keep making him a punchline. That's not getting him over. That's keep trying to entertain yourself. If they wanted to get him over, they would have kept him the lone wolf.
Wasn't he boring?
I didn't think so. He made his entrance. He hit the End of Days. He left. At one point, the NXT crowd was actually counting how many seconds it would take for Baron Corbin to beat somebody. The entire crowd.
Oh, well, too bad they didn't keep that going.
So, I mean, if somebody just beating somebody's ass is boring to you, then I guess so, but I liked it.
Well, if I'm being honest, I never really watched Baron Corbin stuff because, I think I got into it after he was there anyway. I remember, like, him doing an entrance where there were dots or something on the floor.
It was Spotlight.
Okay. So maybe it was like the tail end of him being in NXT.
That's kind of where I caught him too. He was having a feud with this guy called Bull Dempsey. Kind of built like Otis. Maybe not as big. But it was like a big man monster versus monster type thing. Last of a dying breed. Baron Corbin, if I remember correctly, he won fairly easily and quickly. When Dempsey left, and then, Corbin was called to the main roster. But yeah, the fact that the whole crowd would just count how long it would take for his fucking match to end. Yeah, that's some Goldberg shit right there.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We have Bobby Lashley versus the Demon, Finn Balor. It's for the Intercontinental title. Lashley comes out first as champion. He's wearing contacts that make him look supernatural. It looks fucking badass. Like a Titan from God of War or something. He's also with nobody Leo Rush. And what an entrance Balor got. They probably should have started with this before having him join the Rainbow Coalition last year, but just me. But I liked when the fireworks went off with the dun-na-na, dun-na-na.
Yeah, it was good.
So it starts off with Finn Balor kicking Bobby Lashley's ass, obviously. Then Lashley catches Balor with a chokeslam and starts whipping his ass. He repeatedly does suplexes from the apron before knocking Balor out of the ring. And Lashley tries to spear Balor through the barricade, but Balor counters with a sling blade on the floor. He throws Lashley into the ring, starts going to the top rope. Leo Rush gets involved. So Lashley spears Finn from the apron, and they both go flying onto the floor. They get back in the ring. Lashley hits another spear. Balor kicks out, and Lashley tries to powerbomb Balor. Balor fights out and hits Lashley with a powerbomb. And then he hits the coup de grace. 1, 2, 3. And Finn Balor is the new Intercontinental Champion.
It's amazing. But this was the demon character, so there's that. Because otherwise you'd be like, how?
Right.
But yeah, it's the demon character, so it balances out there.
I will say the entrance alone got me locked into this match. Bobby's eyes and then all of Finn's entrance. And for it to be so one-sided. And Balor would just kind of... He reminded me of... Remember Putty from Seinfeld when he dressed like the New Jersey Devils? He had the face paint. Devils!
You gave that old priest a heart attack?
Yeah. That's kind of what he reminded me of.
I thought it was kind of weird, though, that it was so late in the order.
It was the main event.
Close, yeah. So, I don't know. I just thought it was pretty late.
Yeah, I mean, it was short, though. The Triple H Batista match was about a half hour. So then you had Corbin and Angle, that was 6 minutes. And then Lashley and Finn, that was 4 minutes. And then the one after that, that was 21 minutes. So it was like a palate cleanser before another long match.
Yeah, fair enough.
We get Alexa Bliss again. The attendance is 82,265. At this point, I'm wondering why they even have WrestleMania hosts, because they don't do anything. Aside from the one moment where Hulk Hogan called the Superdome the Silver Dome, really haven't done anything. And then R-Truth and some bitch come out and they do a fucking dance break. They called for and called it a dance break.
I told you about those, and that was Carmella.
I don't remember and I didn't recognize.
Yeah, we talked about that's what she was doing. I don't know if that was the very last thing she was doing. She may have gone back to the women's division, but that was basically the gist of her career right there, what you just saw.
What happened to James Ellsworth? Why isn't he champion by now?
What got fired?
Oh, that's sad. He was my favorite.
He's still doing his thing on the indies, I hear.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I guess.
So you can go seek out those matches if you want.
I think I'm going to go do that. Well, Tyson, this is your moment to shine. Because we get a girls' match hype video.
We go to the video package. Well, before the video package, let's talk about how this match came to be. So, if I recall correctly, it was initially supposed to be just straight up Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. And then, randomly on Raw or SmackDown, I forgot which one it was, Vince McMahon just comes out, flat out says there's a new addition to this match. And it's going to be Charlotte Flair. And at the time, we were like, that's got to be a troll or something. But turns out it was not. It's just straight up Charlotte Flair was, for no explanation, just put in this match. And the video package shows each woman talking about what they've done in WWE. Charlotte Flair, at this point, is up to like 10, 13, somewhere in there, championships. Becky Lynch got her nose broken and she's the man now. And Ronda Rousey's Ronda Rousey. Baddest woman on the planet, UFC, all the things. Reason why they were main eventing WrestleMania.
Just because of Ronda?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. Like, if Ronda wasn't even in this match, would they even be close to the main event?
No. Like, they're really pushing the women's division when she got there. They had that. They had the Evolution pay-per-view. Yeah, they were really pushing the women initiative at this point. The highlight of the video package, and probably the highlight of the whole feud, was the point where the women were brawling to the point where they got arrested on either a SmackDown or a Raw, and they were fighting in the handcuffs. You had Ronda Rousey get put in the back of a police car, and she like kicks the window out, and they're still brawling. So that was pretty much the highlight of it all. Of course, the police were no match for those women.
Of course.
This is what you do with that? What you want? Yeah. So then we get to the match. Charlotte Flair, she arrives in a helicopter, what we would believe is the top of the building, and then we go to Ronda Rousey's entrance. She's played to the ring by Joan Jett. Bad Reputation is the song.
the most un-badass song ever.
It's a catchy song, though.
It's catchy, but it's not. If someone played that to the ring, I wouldn't be afraid just by listening to that. That wouldn't like strike fear in the hearts of anybody. It's not like walking out to Gangster's Paradise or the Ambitions as a Rider or something.
It was very much like a UFC type entrance. But she plays it. Ronda Rousey comes out. She's got her game face on or whatever. She gets in the ring. She takes her stuff off. She does her Ronda loosen up thing. Charlotte Flair is next. She arrives to the arena with the helicopter. I forgot to point out that she touches down on the helicopter. She's wearing a leather jacket. She takes the leather jacket off, puts her robe on. She walks out after Ronda Rousey, obviously, because she had to get from the roof wherever she was to the arena. She comes out, pyro, yada yada. And then Becky Lynch comes out. Not really anything special there. She
just comes out.
Yeah, everybody had something. Becky Lynch is just there.
All right.
And then, they have their match. Not going to go move for move. But the end saw a botched finish with Becky Lynch rolling up Ronda Rousey in a crucifix type pin. Ronda Rousey's shoulders were not down on the mat, but the ref counted it anyway because it was supposed to be on the mat. And you can tell from the replay that Ronda was like trying to fight her shoulders off the mat for some reason. Maybe she didn't know it was the end. And Becky Lynch wins the match, and she is double champion.
And allegedly, Ronda didn't want to be tapped out.
Or pinned.
I'm sure she didn't want to be pinned either, but definitely didn't want to be tapped out. Because I remember an interview that Becky had. I didn't watch the interview, it was a clip. No misconceptions. I didn't watch a Becky Lynch interview. But she was talking about how they were going over the finish of the match, and she mentioned the disarmer. And when they approached Ronda about it, she's like, "Oh no, my mom wouldn't look at me if I tapped out." Like her mom gives a shit.
When you said that initially, I was thinking, oh, Charlotte Flair wanted to claim another victim, huh? Let's get Ronda to tap out to me. I think that would be the best finish here.
Yeah, let me choke Ronda out with my figure eight. How does that even work? Don't worry about it. I'm the wrestler.
Yeah, let me figure that out. But yeah, it was a good match for what it was. And Becky Lynch, she was supposed to face Ronda before or something like that, and she got her nose broken by Nia Jax, which turned into her being the mime. Oh, I forgot. And I'm going to tell you this because I know you're going to love it. Michael Cole said that this is the night that will forever be WrestleMania. Because, Becky Lynch, the mime, won.
See, that's why anytime anybody says he's the greatest fucking commentator ever, I got to shut that shit down.
Yeah, I had to throw that in there because I don't want you to miss out on that one-liner.
That's worse than Ms. Steak.
In contention for worst line of the night.
Or the toolbox line from Cole.
Yeah, there's that too.
Well, that was WrestleMania 35. The following night on Raw, new Universal Champion Seth Rollins proclaimed that unlike Brock Lesnar, he would be a fighting champion. And he was then interrupted by the New Day. New WWE Champion Kofi Kingston challenged Rollins to a winner-takes-all match that Rollins accepted. But the match ended in a disqualification when the Bar, for some reason, attacked Kingston and not Rollins. And this led to a tag match where Rollins and Kingston defeated the Bar. New Raw draftee AJ Styles then earned a Universal Championship match against Rollins at Money in the Bank, while Kevin Owens began a feud with Kingston, which led to a match at the same event. Before Money in the Bank, former WWE Champion Daniel Bryan received a rematch, but was unsuccessful at regaining the title. And although the two were SmackDown wrestlers, Vince McMahon introduced a wild card rule, which allowed up to 4 wrestlers to appear on the opposing brand's show by invitation going forward. So at Money in the Bank, Brock Lesnar was a surprise entrant in the ladder match, and he won. He successfully cashed in his contract on Rollins at Extreme Rules to win the Universal Championship for a third time. This led to one more rematch at SummerSlam where Rollins was victorious, which is interesting. How do you get Roman over by losing and getting his ass stomped by Brock, but then you have Rollins just beat him twice?
I'll just tell you there.
Well, Baron Corbin boasted about beating Kurt Angle, and then Angle interrupted him. He feigned to wish Corbin luck, but then Angle slammed him and then applied an ankle lock. Then NXT's Lars Sullivan, WWE legend, future Hall of Famer,
Oh boy.
made his main roster debut and attacked Angle. And Corbin was later entered into the Money in the Bank ladder match, where he was probably F5'd.
Where did his career fizzle out quick? Lars Sullivan.
He just debuted.
Yeah, but his career kind of just came to an end there.
Oh, didn't he have like tweets or some shit?
Worse. I think what I remember was he had some suggestive photos that leaked. I don't know if it was of himself or him like being gay.
So he got released for that.
You can't be a WWE superstar if you're doing shit like that.
Well, Elias tried to continue his concert on Raw. He insulted John Cena and warned that the next to interrupt him would be a dead man. Then The Undertaker appeared and delivered a tombstone to Elias. That motherfucker. Elias was then transferred to SmackDown in the Superstar Shakeup, along with Roman Reigns. The two began feuding for some reason, which led to a Money in the Bank match. I'm sure Roman didn't have any trouble with that. Before the Money in the Bank match, Reigns appeared on Raw, where he had a WrestleMania rematch with McIntyre, who again lost, this time by disqualification. And on the following episode of SmackDown, Carmella celebrated winning the WrestleMania Battle Royal with R-Truth, only for the United States champion Samoa Joe to interrupt and attack Truth. Joe boasted that he could beat any challenger quicker than he defeated Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. And then he got into a brawl with Braun Strowman. Joe and Mysterio were then moved to Raw during the Superstar Shakeup and continued their feud, which led to a rematch at Money in the Bank. Following his drafting to the Raw brand in the Superstar Shakeup, Miz attacked Shane McMahon, seeking retribution. Shane then attacked Miz during a match with Bobby Lashley. I'm sure Bobby was getting his ass whooped. Good thing Shane was there. Miz later challenged Shane to a steel cage match at Money in the Bank that Shane accepted. Yeah, that was WrestleMania 35. Our next WrestleMania is 36. It was supposed to be in Tampa, Florida. If you look close enough, there was a commercial for it during the WrestleMania 35 program. However, it was moved to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. And this is the first WrestleMania that has been extended to 2 nights. And it was heavily affected by a mysterious virus of unknown origin that everybody's forgotten by now, but you still can't talk about for some reason.
You probably went too far there. This WrestleMania was in 2020. So if you know what happened at that year.
And we are breaking down the WrestleMania by night, so we're not going to bore you with a whole 2-night WrestleMania. So the night 1 is AJ Styles versus Undertaker. Is our main event. But before that, we have WCW World War III, 1998. It's taking place in the Palace of Auburn Hills in Auburn Hills, Michigan. It's the only World War III pay-per-view to not have the World War III match headline the show. We had 8 matches contested. The main event was DDP versus Bret Hart for the U.S. title. Of course, we had the 60-man World War III match. Winner earns a heavyweight title match at some point, probably with Goldberg. So good luck with that. Billy Kidman faced Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight title. And superstar Bobby Duncombe Jr. faces Chris Jericho for the Cruiserweight title. Wrath versus Glacier. It's a pretty thin card. But yeah, that is our Wrestling Rewind.
Surprised that Glacier's still in the company at this point. But I think this is the brief comeback tour he tried. So maybe he got injured or something, but...
Well, he changes to like a drill sergeant or something.
Oh, no.
At some point after Glacier.
Well, you already know. They put together that gimmick, and he has a gimmick change, and it didn't go well.
Yep.